this whole thing was pastel, but inside there was just something missing. Marie was kind of fading into the background. She was the centerpiece. She needed to stand out.
What if we're living in a fantasy? Some world that I could only dream.
This week's project was inspired by my trip to Versailles, Kasha, and Jamie Ray's new products. It looks involved, but I'm going to walk you through the process of how I made this step by step.
Can you see that right there? That is one of the pictures that I took with all the gold gilding and the fancy molding. I have always wanted to make a piece of furniture that was inspired by this and Marie Antoinette.
And the trip to France that I took with my friends right before the whole world turned into a science fiction movie. Our very first stop was Versailles, and the craftsmanship was breathtaking.
Are we living in a fantasy? Are we living in a fantasy?
Last week I told you a story about a customer who came in and she was rude. And I did my best to not get offended by this customer. This week I'm going to tell you a story from 10 years ago about another customer who came in and was rude, but I was rude back.
How did I lose all my remnants of self-control?
I'm using our brand new Cottage Colors curated by Jamie Ray Vintage. It's an all-natural mineral paint with a built-in top coat. This paint is also highly durable and self-leveling, so you don't need a spray bottle, and in most cases it will go on silky smooth.
Yeah, you're telling me it's hell, but you can only blame yourself.
10 years ago, before I started painting, I would glue lots of things. So I would make these elaborate chandeliers with seashells glued all over them. I got this idea to make a 3-tiered wedding cake out of old hat boxes, you know, like a round hat box, and there was a big one, a middle one, and a small one at the top.
My vision for this piece was to have Marie in the middle like a cameo. Here I am just holding the paper up to the dresser to figure out where Marie is going to end and begin. This will be different for you depending on the dimensions of your furniture.
I covered it with joint compound and I sprinkled glitter on it, and then I pushed seashells into it, and at the very top was this resin seahorse that was so fancy, and I even took rhinestones and gave them like a little bridle.
In past projects, I have cut out the backgrounds of my decoupage paper with a pair of scissors. This ends up making your paper look like a sticker on your project. Since then, I have learned from my friend Mara LaFay how to take a wet paintbrush and a jar full of water and cut out your background. This gives your project a ripped effect, and it helps your paper blend into the paint.
The seashells went around the edge, and I decoupaged and I glittered, and it was just this fabulous cake. When it was done, I did not glue the 3 boxes together because I wanted the customer, whoever bought it, to be able to use the 3 boxes and put things in it. I put a price tag on it. I think it was just over $100. Kinda high, but not really for all the work and all the time that I put into it. Then I put it out for sale.
This is a brand new transfer called Cosette from Iron Orchid Designs. I'm cutting out the background because that's where Marie is going to go. And then I'm taping the transfer to the dresser with the backing still on it so I can eyeball the layout.
I was so excited when Jamie said that she was gonna do some decoupage paper with Marie Antoinette on it. It's pale, it's black and white. Jamie, why? She was colorful, she was like a cake. And Jamie told me she just knew that I would be able to take it and paint on it as soon as she said that. Oh, yes.
I'm using our clear liquid patina. It's non-toxic, it works great as a decoupage medium and a top coat. I have Marie taped in place because I want her exactly in the middle. I'm lifting up the paper and applying the decoupage bit by bit, smoothing out the wrinkles as I go. I'm making sure that I get the edges glued down well. As the paper dries, the wrinkles will disappear and the patina will dry to a clear matte finish.
This right here is the new transfer from Iron Orchid Designs. It is called Corset, I don't know, but when I saw it, it just had this flash, this vision in my head of this mixed with this. And I got Jamie's new paint right here in Haint Blue.
The great thing about these transfers is you don't have to use them as packaged. You can puzzle piece them together and create your own look. Here I'm tracing an outline so I know where to start because I want the rest of the dresser to be blue.
This is the most amazing, beautiful seahorse wedding fake cake that I've ever seen. And people would come in and they would love it, and then they would ask me if they could just buy the top part of the cake. What would I do with the rest of the cake? And also I knew that that was their way of saying, I don't want to pay full price.
I'm using Haint Blue in our new cottage colors to paint the rest of the dresser. Another reason why I chose to keep the middle part white is because whenever you're using decoupage paper, it's transparent. And if you use a color, it will come through and affect the vibrancy of the paper. I also chose to paint over the hardware because I knew there would be a lot going on in this design and I wanted them to fade into the background.
And so I would very politely say, no, it comes as a set. And then I even wrote it on the tag. This happened repeatedly. Every time I would smile and I would say no, they just wanted the fancy part. They wanted the elaborate seahorse part at the top. And they probably thought they could pay like half price or even less. And no, that is the price. That is the price that it is worth.
Now I'm laying out the transfer one more time before I remove the backing. Because I'm going a little off script, the layout is going to fit differently than what's shown on the package. This may seem a little scary, but really it's not. You can easily overlap designs and even mix different transfers together to create your own look. In most cases, you will want to apply a top coat before rubbing on transfers. Our new formula has the built-in top coat, and these transfers went on so easily.
One day, this gentleman walks into my store. My store was mostly women customers. It was very girly. It was very Marie Antoinette at the time, and there were elaborate rhinestone-covered things all over, ruffles, crinolines, and usually if a man comes in, he's with somebody else, but he was by himself, and I see him eyeballing the seahorse cake. Huh, that's interesting. I wonder if he's buying a gift for somebody.
Once I got the main cameo frame in place, I cut apart all the other elements and reapplied them to fit the dimensions of my dresser. You can see I'm overlapping transfers here to cover up seams, and I even created a little heart shape at the bottom.
Nobody loves me the way that I love me. Nobody loves me the way.
He picks up the top of the cake and he starts walking toward me across the store to the front counter. And I'm like, here we go again, man. Here we go again.
Now I'm taking more paint and I'm adding some much needed color to the black and white areas of the decoupage paper and some areas of the transfer. I'm using a small artist brush, vintage mint and vintage pink. I was starting to like the way this was coming together, but there needed to be a focal point and some of that gold opulence that I saw while I was in France.
I got out the IOD molds. This is the new one, olive crest. And I used this one, which is, and this one is called, I don't remember what this one's called, but it's got a lot of scrolly situations on there. And then in the end, I used the rose mold. So I used these 3 molds. I used 3 packs of paper clay, and I layered the molds on top of each other because I wanted to create this cameo effect.
I always start off by dusting my molds with cornstarch, and then I use the little rubber tool to scrape the clay. But after 3 packs of clay and hundreds of molds, I soon give up on the cornstarch and I just use my fingers. The cornstarch does help if you want an easier time of it. What I love about paper clay is that you use it immediately. This way you can manipulate the molds. You can layer them, you can curl them, you can put them on surfaces that are round or curved. I like to use the white glue by Aleene's Tacky Glue. It dries very strong and clear. If you wait for your molds to dry first, they can curl up and you won't get flush adhesion.
And he's got the seahorse part, and he says to me, "Hey, would you just sell the top of the cake? Because the rest of it is basically ugly."
Now I'm gluing on the molds and slicing them where the drawers open. I'm applying the molds in a circular pattern because I want Marie to look like she's a cameo. I'm layering mold over mold and manipulating them for a more dramatic effect. The molds will also shrink a little bit as they dry, so this will prevent gaps. I like to use painter's tape to hold my molds in place while the glue dries, but be careful, you can pull up the transfer if you put the tape in the wrong place.
And I painted over the decoupage paper. It is very easy to do. And then when it was all done, no, it needs more. It needs gold. Katja does these molds where she puts them on the dressers and then she paints gold over it.
If you're not familiar with Katja, I will put the link to her YouTube channel below. She is known for her beautiful furniture finishes. She's also on the cover of the Turquoise Iris Journal, a wonderful magazine for furniture painters. I will put that link below as well. I'm using Golden Ticket, which is gorgeous, over these molds. You will only need one coat for the molds because they're very porous. However, when I applied the Golden Ticket over the paint, it went on sheer and you'll need to apply a couple of coats. Also, if I could do it over, I would have applied the transfer up here at the top after I painted on the Golden Ticket, as it was very hard to paint in between the fine lines.
I made that. Give it to me. And he tried to step back with it. Give me the cake. And I grabbed the cake and I pulled it away and I told him that it wasn't for sale.
Now I am mixing up a little bit of our Bohemian Brights with our new white to make a bubblegum pink.
I put the Golden Ticket on top of the molds, but then I took one more look at it. Marie, you're still too pale. You're not standing out. She was being overpowered by all the opulence. I gotta have some color. I try to be understated and elegant. Sometimes I feel like when you paint with color, it can go way wrong, but if you're using shades of white on white on white, it's kind of mistake proof. This whole thing was pastel, but inside there was just something missing. And Marie was kind of fading into the background and she was the centerpiece. She needed to stand out and she was like a faded flower. I decided to mix the Bohemian Brights with Jamie's vintage linen, and I just colored her hair up a little bit.
Adding a second shade of bubblegum pink to Marie's hair gave her the pop of color that I was looking for. Then I slid out the drawer and laid it flat so I could use my clear glass glitter and my Aleene's Tacky Glue with a toothpick to add the slightest sparkle here and there.
Find a little spot in the shade, pink lemonade, pink lemonade. Everything is going my way, pink lemonade, pink lemonade.
I take a sip and I'm in heaven. The dopamine is dripping on my brain. Imagination's at 11. Reality is gonna fade away.
No, it's not for sale. Now wait a minute, young lady. And I just turned my back on him and he walked out. I try now to not be as easily offended, but I'm telling you this because not being easily offended is something that we all struggle with, especially today. Just this morning, I was walking down to my car and there is a bird that likes to poop on my new car. It looks like he sits on the side mirror and just lets it run like a river. I have washed my car 5 times in the last month. I even Googled how to keep birds off your car, and I have this reflective tape that I tie to my car, but I forgot to do it last night, and there it is again, and I'm driving to church, and I had to stop myself and start saying all the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I can go to church. I'm grateful that my family is there, and I am grateful for the bird. The bird that poops on my car every single day.
I wrote down this quote from my pastor. He said, "We are probably the most offended and polarized people group in history." Lately, I've been trying not to be as easily offended, but I have to check myself all the time. I added a rhinestone bracelet and a few more transfers to finish up the details of this piece. And you can see here how I'm puzzle piecing the transfer scraps together. I like to make pretty things because it makes me feel like I'm contributing something good in a world full of things that I can't fix.
Carry clothes we lived in, all the tales we will tell our children. No, we're taking the high road.
You can purchase this dresser and many other wonderful things on my website. The link is below.
Ever after, day reborn in.
And now she's done. But it was a whole process, like it always is. It's never just, oh yes, let's just do this. No. And let me know in the comments. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but it isn't, because it's just a blast from the past. You can get all the things that I used to make this in the description box. It's all on my website. The paper, the transfers, the molds, the clay, the golden ticket, the Bohemian Brights, Jamie's new paint. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
If you made it this far, stay tuned to the end because I added some bonus clips from France. To find DIY paint in your area or to sell it in your store, click the link below.
Yeah. Push back, I'm tired of feeling broken. Truth rings louder than emotion. Take time, remember what it means to love. Yeah. Here's another chance to see the change we need. See a miracle when we walk these streets. Living life in the light, redefining the land of the free. I can feel